There's a storm brewing in the Bay, and it's here to fog up opposing offenses and steer the Niners ship through the dangerous waters of the early NFL season. While the offense remains a one-man show, the defense has cemented itself as maybe the best in the league, playing as a complete unit as they frustrate and shut down opposing teams. Led by defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, the scheme has holdovers from his mentor Robert Saleh's cover 3, but takes heavy influence from the modern Fangio cover 6, something Saleh started to implement in San Francisco, but DeMeco has recently turned up to 11. Let's talk about what makes this defense so damn good. Let's start with that cover 6, which has essentially become their base defense. With the NFL becoming increasingly vertical thanks to the relaxation of passing rules and an increased emphasis on player safety. I mean, some of this shit used to be legal 15 to 20 years ago. Defenses have gotten progressively deeper. At first, we saw the adaptation in Seattle with the cover 3 that stormed the league. But as teams learned how to beat this through vertical slot routes and crossers, a new defense came to take its crown. Originating from former Broncos head coach Vic Fangio, the Fangio 6 looks different from the jump. Instead of the single high corners off look of the cover 3, the Fangio 6 starts with a 2 high look pre-snap, signaling to the quarterback there's deep protection. But it goes further than that. The aim is to appear like you're in a cover 4, often playing both of the corners off, showing offenses a 4 high shell and telling QBs to check it down into the flats. Splitting the field in 2, the Fangio 6 aims to shut down the modern passing game by playing split 4-2 principles. That's cover 4 to the strong side of the formation and cover 2 to the weak side. This provides vertical protection to where the most threats are with the safety and corner and quarters, while maintaining flat and inside presence if the offensive targets go shallow. If a third receiver to this side goes long, the outside backer will bail too, never allowing a free man. In its base form, a cover 2 is played to the weak side, allowing for bracket coverage on the X receiver and offering underneath zone help for crossers or dump-offs. But being the NFL, this is just the start of it. Often on the weak side of a 3x1, teams will play solo lock on the single receiver, essentially locking up the guy in straight man. Or, if there's 2 receivers to this side, they might call banjo, playing man but passing off between the outside backer and corner depending on leverage. Back to the strong side, and the pattern match principles may change depending on the leverage, down, and distance. Usually, Fred Warner would be squatting lower here, responsible for the break-in, but with it being 3rd and long, he'll leave this for Lenore and continue to drop into the Tampa area, helping shut off the post to Skoranek. A counter to both the cover 3 and 6 is the post clear out for the deep over. So to counter this, the Fangio 6 allows for the safety playing quarters to carry any deep crosser, effectively negating this playbreaker. Watch Hufanga immediately lock onto the slot when he starts his deep over, signaling the corner to now become a deep half defender, and for Warner to drop deep in case the outside receiver is running a dig. To the weak side, you can see the other corner also continues to bail and look for crossers. With nobody in his zone and the back faking as if he's in pass protection, it's an automatic call to continue to gain depth to the sticks and look for routes flooding your way from the far side. This has everything locked up, and by the time you realize this needs to be checked down, Nick Bosa is burying you into the turf. And this is the heart of the Fangio 6. Slow down the QB's reads by giving them no key pre-snap, baiting him into running the ball or going to quick checkdowns. Then hustle fast to keep gains to a minimum. This maybe cover 4 ambiguous opening look gives away no secrets. It never allows the QB to know when or how it will shift. Or even if it's the cover 6 that you were expecting. It could easily be straight cover 4 or cover 2 or man 1 robber, or some form of blitz of any of the above. Here it is again against the Broncos, except the 49ers are going against tendencies and flipping the way they call it. With 3 threats to the near side, you'd expect the cover 4 to this side, but with Denver lining up Judy and Sutton to the far side, DeMeco Ryan calls the 4 their way, helping shut down all of Russ's threats and force yet another checkdown. A counter to this would be running somebody in motion to change the strong and weak call mid-snap, but the Niners were ready for this too. As soon as the motion starts, the secondary is talking and taking a few key steps to adjust. Ward buzzes down to play the flat, Hufanga becomes the half side, and Gibson and Mosley split the near side into quarters. The Broncos run the motion into a wheel, trying to attack the half side safety, but with the shift, it is now quarters this way, and everybody's locked up. And you can run man out of it too. It's a too high pre-snap, so it's very versatile in this fashion, with the choice to play too high or one and a robber, or send 5 pinning the pocket as we talked about in our Lamar video. The Niners also ran a bunch of man coverage out of the single high look using the principles Robert Saleh taught in his cover 3, but that's for another video. The too high Fangio 6 has become the latest trend, with at least a quarter of teams using it as their base. So what makes the 49ers the best at it right now? Well, they have almost the perfect personnel to run it. You've got to have at least one dog in the secondary, and the 49ers have found that with second-year standout Talanoa Hufunga. Nominally listed as a strong safety, he's been the ace in DeMeco Ryans' defense, helping elevate it to the next level. Able to play both safety roles, single high and in the box, Hufanga makes a multiple defensive scheme even more multiple. We showed him play man early on the crosser, and here it is again lining up on one of the league's best slots, Tyler Lockett. He's not fooled by the jab and head fake outside, sticking with the veteran and undercutting the route when the ball's released. He can't hang on to this one, but the tip drill delivers it to Tashawn Gibson. His ability to play the slot got him a pick 6 on Monday Night Football too. Lined up in the slot when the 49ers called man, he's normally covering Tyler Higbee here, but his vision and expert play reading ability allows him to see the screen to Cooper Kupp coming, and he steps in front of this one, taking Stafford to 3rd all-time in career pick 6s. Sheesh. He's even better in zone, where he's got everything in front of him and can use that elite vision and acceleration to break on the ball. He's really got that it factor that very few possess. It's hard to quantify it, but he has the ability to come up big when his team really needs him. Anytime an offense gets into heavy personnel and condenses the formation, watch for Hufanga lurking around the line of scrimmage. He loves to time the snap off the backside of the play and beat the runner to the line. I mean, he does this over and over again. Usually, you don't have to account for the safety all the way to the backside, but teams are going to have to find a way to deal with his ability to attack downhill. In fact, the entire back 7 has been superb at breaking on the ball. With the corners so far off pre-snap, you're going to entice passes to the flats, so you best be ready to come downhill and make a statement. When it comes to defending the pass in the modern NFL, it's got to be a joint effort, and the backers deserve great love too. Led by All-Pro Fred Warner, the unit is so freakishly fast they can afford to stay in base more often, only really resorting to nickel and 4 receiver sets or long yardage. This had the added benefit of keeping more muscle on the field against the run, whereas other teams might sub a 3rd safety or corner to play in the cover 6. The trio of Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and Azeez Al-Shaair were quick enough to operate in space and going forward. However, with Al-Shaair out for 8 weeks with a sprained knee, slot corner Diamador Lenore has seen the majority of replacement snaps, moving them towards a more current nickel look, which will lose them some muscle, but it does allow them to be even more creative with drops and pressures like they showed Monday night. And that leads us to the last remaining part that we haven't yet talked about, the line. Playing so far off the line of scrimmage leads to 2 problems. 1, you risk giving quarterbacks too much time, and no scheme in the NFL works after 4 seconds. And 2, the depth gives teams plenty of space to run into. The first problem is solved by All-Pro and current sack leader Nick Bosa, who you can count on to just annihilate 4 or 5 plays a game completely on his own. It doesn't matter what type of boundary concept the Bears are running here, because Fields never gets a chance to read it, as Nick Bosa is too busy forklifting his left tackle and dumping him straight into Fields' lap. And even if you call the play away from him like Seattle do here, running a quick sprint left option, he jumps the gap so fast he scares Geno into pulling this one down. On the interior, Eric Armstead and Kevin Givens have been instrumental in keeping the rushing game locked up despite the light box. Anytime a team tries to run inside, these two are throwing linemen or pushing players into gaps and opening lanes for their backers to make big stuffs. You can see they put an emphasis on film for how a team's run game might look and when there's an opportunity to ruin it by run blitzing. While we highlight these 3 names, it has definitely been a collective effort up front. 10 different guys have recorded tackles on the line, 7 of which have recorded a sack. They've been winning mostly with 4, and the ability to rotate up front means there's always someone fresh to rush the passer, a must against these scrambling menaces of today's league. Having given up just 46 points through 4 games, the 49ers have every right to claim themselves as the top defense in the league. The tape shows a creative yet well-disciplined scheme that has confused all that have faced it so far, and it definitely feels repeatable with how well this system fits its personnel. They say defense wins championships, and if they can keep this up, they could drag themselves to another Super Bowl. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for future breakdowns. We drop a video every week throughout the season. Take care.